Some woodworking tricks just seem too good to be true, don't they? You see someone do something quick and clever in a video and think, no way that actually works in real life. If you've ever watched woodworking videos and thought, there's no way that trick actually works, you're not alone. I've been there myself, seeing something on screen and thinking that's gotta be camera magic. But here's the thing, sometimes these tricks really do work and they can make a huge difference in your results. The best part is, these tips aren't just for beginners. Even experienced woodworkers pick up these little hacks and use them every day to save time, improve accuracy, or just make projects look way more professional. Some of these tricks fix common problems instantly, like boards slipping out of place or glue squeeze out making a mess. And I've got one trick that makes glue-ups look so clean, you'll wonder why you haven't been doing it all along. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 woodworking tricks that look fake, but actually work. And many experienced woodworkers use them every day in their workshops. If you stick around until the end, you'll pick up a few new favorites for sure. Let's start with the first trick. Alright, let's kick things off with a trick that seems almost like a magic trick, using painter's tape to get perfect glue joints. If you've ever done a panel glue up and been frustrated by glue squeezing out everywhere, dripping onto your clamps, your workbench, your hands, this one's for you. Here's what you do. Before you apply glue to the edge of your board, run a strip of painter's tape along both faces, right up to the edge where the glue will squeeze out. When you clamp the boards together, the excess glue will ooze onto the tape rather than your wood. Once the glue dries, just peel off the tape, and you're left with a perfectly clean surface, no messy squeeze out to scrape off. This saves so much time on cleanup, and you won't risk gouging your wood when you try to chisel dried glue away. It almost feels like cheating, but it's just smart prep. I know, it looks a little over the top when you first see it, but trust me, it works. I've used this on tabletops, cutting boards, any glue up where I want those faces to stay pristine. Painter's tape doesn't leave residue and peels away cleanly, which is why it's perfect for this trick. Give this a try on your next glue up and see the difference for yourself. It really does make the process faster and your final result that much cleaner. Here's another trick that's so simple, it seems almost too obvious, yet so few people actually do it. You know how during a glue up your boards love to slide around as soon as you apply pressure with the clamps? It's like trying to wrestle a greased pig. But all you need is a couple of small squares of sandpaper to stop the slipping cold. Right before you clamp your boards together, cut 2 small pieces of medium grit sandpaper, something like 120 grit works great. Place them between the boards at each end, just a little bit in from the edge. When you clamp down, the sandpaper bites into the wood fibers and locks the boards in place. No more sliding around, and your alignment stays perfect. This trick saves your nerves, your time, and your panels. You don't have to keep unclamping and realigning, which means you avoid those tiny steps or ridges that can mess up your project later. It's especially handy for thin boards and panels, where even a tiny slip is a big deal. Try it once, and you'll never go back to wrestling slippery boards again. It looks like a hack, but it's pure genius. Getting your project square is crucial, whether it's a box, a cabinet, or a picture frame. Here's a trick that might look a little complicated at first, but once you try it, you'll see how foolproof it is. Instead of relying solely on a square, measure the diagonals of your rectangular assembly. If both diagonals are exactly the same, your piece is perfectly square. Let's say you're gluing up a frame. Once it's clamped, measure from the top left corner to the bottom right, and then from the top right to the bottom left. If the numbers match, you're golden. If they don't, just adjust your clamps or tap the frame gently until the measurements are equal. Why does this work? It's simple geometry. Only a perfectly square rectangle will have equal diagonals. It's a great double check, especially for larger projects where a small error at one corner can throw everything off. I use this trick on nearly every project that needs to be square. It saved me from discovering a wonky box only after the glue is set. Give it a try, and you'll never have an out-of-square project again. This next one is a staple in my shop, and it's so effective you'll wonder why anyone would bother with anything else. The humble speed square isn't just for marking lines, it doubles as a rock-solid cutting guide for your circular saw, jigsaw, or even a handsaw. Just align the lip of the speed square with the edge of your board, line up your saw blade with your mark, and use the square as a fence to guide your cut. The square's metal edge keeps your tool perfectly straight, giving you a dead accurate 90-degree cut every single time. It's fast, it's portable, and you don't need a fancy jig or table saw. Plus, speed squares are tough enough to stand up to repeated use and abuse. If you've ever struggled with wandering saw lines or wobbly cuts, this trick will change your life. It's a classic move that seems almost too simple to work, but it does, and it works every time. Next time you reach for your saw, grab your speed square too. You will get crisp, clean cuts, and save a ton of time on setup. Here's a trick that gets me out of a jam all the time. Tracing odd shapes with just a pencil and a little scrap of wood. Say you need to fit a shelf or a piece of trim against a wavy wall or around a pipe. Just set your workpiece in place, then use a pencil held against a scrap block as a spacer. Slide the block along the wall while your pencil traces the contour onto your board. This gives you a perfect scribe line that matches the irregular surface exactly. Cut along that line, and your piece will fit like it grew there. It's so much faster than measuring and guessing, and you get a professional-looking fit every time. I've used this trick for baseboards, countertops, shelves, anywhere you need to match an uneven edge. It doesn't matter if it's drywall, stone, or even brick. This method works. It might look like a hack, but it delivers perfect results every single time. Give it a try, and you'll see how easy it is to get a flawless fit. Let's talk about making the most of what you've got. Sometimes you need an extra set of hands or a vise, but all your big clamps are in use or you don't even own a bench vise. No problem. A simple F-style or bar clamp can substitute as a vise in a pinch. Here's how clamp your project to the edge of your workbench with an F-clamp, or use 2 clamps to pinch it between sturdy surfaces. This holds your work steady for sanding, planing, or drilling. It's quick, secure, and you can do it anywhere. Even on a makeshift work surface or out on the job site. This is one of those tricks that looks like a workaround, but it's become second nature in my shop. I've even stacked up scrap wood to make a makeshift bench, then clamped projects to it for stability. If you don't have a vise, don't sweat it. Just reach for a clamp and get to work. When it comes to sanding, the right tool makes all the difference, especially for flat surfaces and crisp edges. One of the simplest tricks is to wrap a piece of sandpaper around a scrap block of wood. This instantly gives you a sanding block that's perfectly flat and rigid. Just cut a piece of sandpaper a bit bigger than your block, wrap it around and hold it tight as you sand. The block evens out the pressure, so you don't round over the edges or sand dips into your work. It's perfect for leveling joints, smoothing edges, and prepping surfaces for finish. You can use any scrap wood. Hardwood works best for super flat results, but even a chunk of plywood does the trick. If you want to get fancy, add a little spray adhesive to hold the sandpaper in place, but honestly, just holding it works for most quick jobs. It's such a basic hack, but it's how you get those pro-level glass smooth surfaces. This next trick looks a bit wacky, but it'll save you from dropping screws all over the floor, especially when you're working overhead or in tight spaces. Take a wide rubber band and poke the tip of your screwdriver or driver bit through it. Then, push your screw through the rubber on bottom name, bupper spopper o ums. Amek bottom dan natum. Anen. It grips the shaft of the bit. Now, even if you're working upside down, the screw stays put while you get it started. The rubber band acts as a little set of grippy fingers, holding the screw steady until it bites into the wood. No more fumbling, no more screws slipping off and rolling away. This is especially handy for those awkward jobs where you need 3 hands, or when you're working inside a cabinet and can't quite reach. It works with both hand drivers and power tools. Give it a shot next time you're juggling screws. You'll wonder how you ever managed without it. Consistency is key in woodworking, especially when you need to repeat the same measurement over and over, like for shelf pins, drawer slides, or cabinet parts. Enter the story stick. All you need is a straight scrap of wood or a dowel and a pencil. Mark your measurements directly onto the stick. No need for numbers, just a little tick for each critical spot. Then, use the stick to transfer those marks to every workpiece. You never have to double-check your tape measure, and your parts will be identical every time. This trick sounds too simple to be accurate, but it's used by pros everywhere. It eliminates measuring errors, especially when you're making a batch of parts. Plus, you can save the story stick for future projects. Label it, and you've got a custom template. Try this out next time you've got repetitive cuts or holes. It looks low-tech, but it's one of the most reliable tricks in the shop. For our last trick, let's talk about something that feels like pure old-school magic, using wax to make screws drive like butter. If you've ever tried to drive a screw into hardwood and felt like you were turning the screwdriver through concrete, this one's for you. Just take a candle, a chunk of beeswax, or even a bar of soap, and rub the screw threads through it before driving them in. The wax acts as a lubricant, reducing friction and making the screw turn smoothly into the wood. You'll feel the difference immediately. Less effort, less risk of snapping the screw, and a much cleaner finish. This trick works on all kinds of screws, especially brass or stainless steel ones that are prone to breaking. I use it on drawer slides, hinges, and anywhere I need a tight fit. It's an old carpenter's trick that still works wonders today. Try it, and I guarantee you'll never go back to wrestling stubborn screws again. So those are 10 woodworking tricks that might look fake at first, but actually work incredibly well in real workshops. Simple tricks like these can make woodworking easier, faster, and much more enjoyable. If you start using even just a few of these, you'll notice your projects coming together cleaner, your workflow getting smoother, and your confidence growing with every build. Now I'm curious, which of these tricks surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing how these little hacks make a difference in your projects, or if there's a trick you've been using that I didn't mention here. And if you want to learn 7 woodworking mistakes that ruin projects, check out the next video on this channel because avoiding those mistakes can instantly improve your woodworking results. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.